Hello, peoples of the internet. Today I got Boy in the room, Mr. Magoo. We have Evie in the room. She's in and out of the room because she's going in and out of her dog door. We have the beautiful plants and we have the mineral kingdom all around us. Today I thought that I would talk about some information that came in about a year ago. And that information was about mountains that we put in front of us. And the Godsource was telling me a story about a quote about moving mountains. And the Godsource said, actually, Jesus didn't move the mountains. And I was like, oh, what? And it said, no, what Jesus did is Jesus didn't create the mountains in the first place. And so what that means is that when we live in fear states, so when we live in states of, I don't know if I can, I don't know if I'm going to have enough money, I don't know if I have the ability or the skill, I don't know if I am smart enough, or, what if somebody doesn't like it, or what if it fails? All of those are the fear states that we build mountains in front of us. And literally, because we're creator beings, when we say things to ourselves like, I can't do it, if I do it, then, I'm going to fail, and bad things always happen to me, and those kinds of thoughts, you're literally going to create that in front of you. That's the timeline that you're going to go down, because your present self is in alignment with that timeline. So when your present self berates or beats yourself up, or doesn't believe in yourself, or doesn't support yourself, and you believe things about yourself like you're not good enough, or that you don't deserve that, or bad things always happen to you, you literally, as a creator being, create that in front of you. And that is you building that mountain in front of you. So you think there's this insurpassable mountain in front of you, and you just think, I can't do it because there's this giant mountain in front of me. But that mountain was created by you. And so how do you not create the mountain in the first place? You believe in yourself. You love yourself into wholeness. You tell yourself things like, yes, I can do this. And yes, it might be scary, which is a natural human emotion. And even though this is scary, I can do this. I believe in myself. I got my own back. And how do we do that? We slow down into the moment. And as we slow down into the moment, we can get behind our own selves and we can support ourselves in that moment. So, for example, at that time period, I remember I was stressing about going to talk to my boss about trying to get a raise. And I was like, stressing things like, oh, what if I don't get it? Or what if she doesn't give it to me? Or, what if she gets angry? And I remember at that time period too, that it was all about power dynamics. I was being taught about power dynamics. And that when one person goes into weakness, which is what I was doing, I can't do it, I don't know how, this is too scary, then the other person automatically will take the power position. And you're going to begin to fear the other person. And just by fearing them, you're giving them your power. And that will naturally put you into the weakness. And you'll tell yourself things like, I can't do this, and things like that. And at that point in time, the Godsource was saying, take your power back. So take it from out there and put it underneath yourself. And when you put your power underneath yourself, then you begin to believe in yourself. And you say, yes, I can do this. Yes, it's scary, and I can do it. And I deserve this. And then you'll take that action forward. And so the Godsource said, don't catastrophize as far as, coming into a situation and thinking, oh, I gotta, like, I have to play this in my head. I have to prepare myself. I have to tell myself what I'm gonna tell that person. I'm gonna practice them saying this to me, that me saying this to them. What if they say this and I say that? And we do all this preparation, and we're actually taught to do it. Like business people will say, yeah, prepare yourself. Do all these talks and stuff like that. And the Godsource says, no, that's limiting your potentials. So what you're doing is you're putting yourself down the timelines that you're creating, number one. And number two, you're not actually being prepared. It's a false safety, thinking that when you prepare yourself in that way, you're going to be ready. But the reality, the Godsource said, yeah, but Lisa, there's probably like 3,000 ways that can go, and you're ready for 3. So when you go in there, you're not really ready, and actually you're thinking that those 3 are going to happen. So if those 3 don't happen, you're unprepared fully. But the Godsource said, you don't have to do that. You just need to acknowledge and accept your own anxiety, and then alchemize it with your own love. I'm safe even here. I'm whole even here. I can believe in myself. Your brain that was trying to prepare you, that had all those ideas and was practicing saying what it was going to say, is the same brain that you're going to go into that situation with, that already knew how to be prepared, which is why it told you those 3 things. So why does it know those 3 things? It knows it from past experiences. So you've already integrated those past experiences into you. So you don't have to re-prepare yourself for that. It's already inside of you. So when you go into that experience, if you're aligned with your center of self, with your creativity, with your peace and calm, I have a right to do this. I support myself in this. I believe in myself. Yes, it's scary, but you can do this. When I go in from that space, I'm going to be able to access my creativity, and my creativity is going to help me in that experience and in that situation. My creativity is going to access the infinite potential of choices, not just 3. My brain's going to do 3, but my center of self's going to do 1,000. And when I go in there, I can just stay in my creativity, and I can be guided in my creativity. So that's how we don't build the mountain. So it's not about moving mountains. It's about not building them in the first place. It's about taking pathways or creating timelines in front of us where there is no mountain. And that's how Jesus moved mountains. He went down the timelines where there was no mountain. And so that is, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else in this piece of information that I need to share. You can hear Evie snoring over there, just holding some sacred space about the mountains, and the journeying and our choices, and not preparing ourselves, but knowing that you've already been prepared. Experience already prepares us. So when you went through the lived experience, you had already prepared yourself. And that's why it was telling me we don't have to remember as much as we think we have to remember, because it's already inside of us. So we already have the information inside of us. So going through the experiences already prepared you. You've already been prepared just by going through the other experiences. And so we just tap that preparation. Here's Boy. He's coming up here. This is him. This is the naked boy. Hey, Boy. You good baby? Bring the eyeball. So, we're going to be like Jesus, and we're not going to build mountains. Yeah, hang on. There you go. Good boy. And we're going to believe in ourselves, and we're going to support ourselves in the choices we make, and we're going to access that center point of reference in our decision-making processes and in our choices. So let me just feel back into that space and see if there's anything that I missed. I will say that, ooh, look at that sun. Beautiful. That going into the future, we are choosing freedom. So we're moving into a future of freedom. And in that future of freedom, that's where, number one, we're not going to limit our own selves with belief systems that we can't believe in ourselves, or that we can't trust ourselves to keep ourselves safe. We're going to be accessing all of that safety and love and harmony, alchemizing what we're going through, believing in ourselves. Oh, that's another really, really cool piece of information, that it said that the collective consciousness of the past is disintegrating. So it's getting left behind with the slavery matrix. And as we let go of that old way of existing, that old collective consciousness, the new beings that are entering freedom are creating their own collective consciousness, a fresh collective consciousness. So as they come in, that consciousness is created. And in that consciousness, we won't have the fear states. And so last time I would have been clearing the dependence on the ancestors of the past that were acting from the brain, from the fear states. And that's what's not going to be in the collective consciousness. So we're going to believe in ourselves. We're going to believe that we can do it. And we're going to believe that we can get creative. And the Godsource was telling me that a lot of the old creations of the past, the things that we didn't create, like free energy, or like ways to clean the planet, ways to clean the water and the soil. We already have a lot of those solutions. Actually, people are already coming up with the ideas. But in the old way, people were afraid to create things like that. And they should have been afraid, because a lot of people, scientists particularly, creator beings, were murdered. So in the past, they were taken out for the ideas and the wisdom that they were bringing into the earth realm, because that would have taken away the power of the top of the false hierarchy, of the toxic masculine hierarchy. And so in the new way, we're not going to fear that, because we're going to be accessing that collective consciousness that says, yes, we can, and yes, we will, and yes, we're going to, because we're in a different space. We're in a different environmental space where we actually can do these things, and we're going to grassroots it. So we're not going to depend on the uppers. We're just going to start doing it ourselves. And it's that information that's going to be coming in, and that we're going to be accessing, and that we're going to be coming together as collectives to actually create into the future. And so that's another cool thing that it was showing me or telling me about, because one of the things that's always really bugged me is dumps. So like the way humans do their dumps, like where we dump our garbage. And it's always been so insane to me that you just dump a bunch of garbage and cover it up with dirt, and then dump garbage and cover it up with dirt. And it seems like, you're trying to put something under a rug, but everybody knows that thing's still under the rug, because when you walk on the rug, it's all crunchy and you're tripping, and it's a very obvious experience. And so it's actually been hard for me to like throw garbage away. I'm always trying to upcycle things or recycle things, because I know that it's like a toxic way of getting rid of garbage. And the Godsource was telling me that's another creation or collective of creations into the future, where we're literally going to dig up the dirt, and we're going to do the right thing with the garbages. So we're going to upcycle or recycle, or use it for other kinds of creations. We're going to come up with creations that are going to help us to help the planet. And so that's why it's really important that some of us are leading the way. and that we're accessing our truth and our harmonic frequencies and connecting into the God source, or connecting into your own souls and then connecting into the God source, so that we can access that level of creativity, because the slavery matrix anchored us back so far. We're way behind where we should be evolutionary as a species. So when we collapse that matrix, which we're doing in this now moment, we're doing it now, it's going to slingshot us way forward, like where we were always supposed to be. And that's why we can access a whole bunch of this information, because we should have been accessing it all along, in natural evolution. And so that's coming into the future, which is super, super exciting for us as a human species. And it's extremely hopeful for our future and what we're going to create. So that's another reason why we want to collapse fears into the future, because it is true that, there's a lot of talk about the earth is changing, and the earth is actually changing. She's in a cycle of change, and we could be, collapsed as a human species if we continued in the mindset that we have now to try to face the future. But as we clear this old mode of functioning and this old way of existing, this anchored way of existing, this disconnected way of existing that wasn't accessing the feminine or the sacred mother or the sacred divine, as we collapse that out of our mode of functioning and our ways of existing, we will find the solutions that we're looking for. And so because we're going to be in a new mindset, we won't be in the same mindset that we were in the past. Boy, Marble boy. So we just clear, cleanse, neutralize, harmonize, and alchemize all of that now through all quantum fields of existence. We no longer choose to believe those old mindsets, because remember, we have to believe it to create it. We are creator beings, so we have to believe to create. So we have to clear those fear programs. And that fear program I was just talking about is a fear of the future. So we need to be able to clear our fears of the future and of catastrophes into the future. Or ecocide of the human species into the future, recognizing that if we had continued the way that we were, we could potentially have ended the human species. However, moving into the future in a brand new way of existing, in alignment and accessing this infinite potential of the soul, and being guided to take action from the soul, including massive creations like free energy and ways to clean the air, the water, and the soil, and new banking systems, new education systems, new medical systems, new ways of being a human being. I would have talked about that last time, like sleep cycles and food. When we eat, how often we eat, how much we eat, what we need to eat. All of these things are changing as we move forward in new ways, and we're evoluting with nature to create from the now moment and no longer from the stagnation of the past. And that I acknowledge and accept that we built our own mountains in front of us, and we built mountains through fear programs, and by not believing in ourselves, and by detrimentally talking to ourselves, and through the fear program of thinking that we need to plan, I need to have the plan, I need to work it all out. That's the old way of the head, and it's not going to work into the future. And you're going to see, you can plan all day long, but the plans aren't going to go as planned, because it's not meant to happen that way. And what you're going to do is trust your own self first. You're going to know safety comes from the lessons that you've already had, from all of the teachings that you've had a lifetime of. You already have the information in front of you, inside of you. And then you also have the creativity inside of you when you access that wholeness and that love. And that we are the saviors of our own selves first and foremost, and we are the saviors of this universe, of this planet, of the future of this planet. And that we have to act from our own courageous creativity and uniqueness and authenticity, And when we act from that space, we're going to begin to create all kinds of magical things that are actually in alignment with the evolution of these times. And I choose to believe in that. I choose to believe in myself. I choose to collapse these old modes of functioning and these old ways of existing and these old mindsets from our mind, body, spirits, and souls, including any contracts, binds, barriers, cording, so that we can begin to chord, as in music, C-H-O-R-D, with this planet, with the animals, with the air, earth, and water, with our own selves. And that we choose to believe in our potentials, we choose to believe in ourselves, we choose to believe in the human species, and we ask for vast forgiveness for the old humans and for the old belief systems and for the old modes of functioning and the old ways of existing, and for the old collective consciousness that was full of fear. And it was telling us, don't do that, it's dangerous. If you create in these ways, you're going to be, your life will be ended. And we need to disintegrate those old modes of functioning and those old ways of existing, so that we can believe in ourselves, and so that we can come together in collective, like-minded tribes or groupings, where we're going to work on beautiful things into the future, beautiful new ideas for the functioning of the human species. And so we clear, cleanse, neutralize, harmonize, and alchemize all of that now, past the DNA and RNA and into the God space of first creation, collapsing the old DNA and RNA back to dust and initiating the new, and reconfiguring for each unique blueprint. We clear, cleanse, and heal all drama, karma, trauma, pull out the dharma, neutralize, purify, clear, cleanse, and heal from the cellular, energetic, and magnetic structures, and from the subconscious, unconscious, and conscious minds, pulling all of that through to oneness, to wholeness, to peace, to truth, to love. Welcoming those helper species and those helper beings into these spaces to continue to help us to grow and expand and access these places of ourselves, and normalizing the experience and the feelings of expanding out this far. Sometimes you can feel nauseous or woozy in the head, and that's just us accessing parts of the human and human potentials that have always been available, but we just hadn't accessed until now. But I want that, and I choose that. So please ground me into those spaces. And I clear through the children and up through the ancestral webs, past lifetimes in their webs, and for the collective universal who are open to it at this time, including all planetary systems and on all sides of the veil in this universe and in the multiverses. I quantum forgive those old modes of functioning, those old ways of existing, those old ways of being human, those old choices from the head, that old preparing the self, which actually didn't prepare. It meant we weren't trusting our own selves. We weren't accessing our own creativity. We weren't believing in ourselves to be just fine, that we weren't supporting ourselves to take those steps, that we were collectively buying into fear programming, that we take our power back from right now in this moment and collapse back to dust. We quantum forgive, and we quantum purify back to the Godsource origins. And we welcome those collective healed helpers, those beings of light, those doctors, healers, and nurses in all realms of existence to continue to purify and alchemize these spaces and drop us into those original blueprints, those original codes, and to continue these healings until completed. And we give so much gratitude and thankfulness to the helper beings and helper frequencies that are here with us, helping us, guiding us, loving us, nudging us. Thank you. We love you so much. And again, this is why you can trust that the right information will come to you at the right time. Because you have helper beings that are here nudging you, like holding that space, like, listen to me. And you're over here, no, it's got to be 1, 2, 3, no, stop it. Stop. We don't have to do that. That's an old way of existing. And I clear it from my mind, body, spirit, and soul now. And I give so much gratitude to those helper beings that are always here with us, helping us in these moments when we need it the most, including our own guardian angel that we access through our bellies. Through our umbilical cord. We clear, cleanse, and heal all of that now through all quantum fields of existence, and I'm opening to receive for best and the highest well-being. With the most ultimate of love and gratitude, I choose this. So I choose this and breathe. And a good etheric breath, so intending it to come from the ethers. So we're just going to do an energy clearing. But before I do the energy clearing, I had the Godsource was reminding me of some information that it just wanted me to share real quick. And what it was reminding me of is that I used to watch this narcissist. He's a psychiatrist, and he talks about narcissists, which I think is super intriguing because obviously he's, got a foot in that field. And so he does understand a lot about it. And he talks a lot about magical thinking, and he looks down upon it. Magical thinking is something that was probably in one of the DSMs at one point in time, maybe the DSM-3, which is a psychology manual that talks about mental illness. And one of the things that they categorize into that is magical thinking. And so a lot of the things I talk about could be categorized as magical thinking. And I was holding space for that. And I was kind of saying to the Godsource, is this magical thinking? Like I was a fear program. I was giving my power away to this idea that I can't do this, or that this is mental illness, or that I'm doing something wrong or bad. So here's that shame program because somebody else is telling me this, right? And the Godsource said, yeah, but Lisa, a narcissist is never going to understand what you're doing because a narcissist isn't connected to the Godsource. So people who aren't connected to the Godsource are never going to understand what I'm talking about, because being able to alchemize is part of being connected to the Godsource or your own soul. Being able to speak to the Godsource, obviously to communicate with it, is part of being connected to the Godsource and practicing believing in yourself and honing that voice inside your mind. And so, of course, a narcissist or disconnected humans, which a lot of the people were at the top of the hierarchy, which would be the scientists and the male scientists, and the probably psychiatrists and teachers of that type, aren't going to understand the feminine first, which is slowing down and accessing that empathy and that compassion. This is actually something the humans just started doing in the last 3 to 5 years, is accessing those openings, awakening that part of ourselves, that unconditional love for self. We were looking out there for the answers, not inside. And so they're never going to understand these spaces until they start to initiate them in themselves. And so I had to clear those fear programs, and I had to know that I don't need anybody else to tell me that this is real or that this is sane. And I do think that's pretty awesome, though. I want to mention that the new DSM has 2 categories in there, and one of them psychotic breaks, which is something that when people have a lot of debris inside of them and they start to come into an awakening, it can create a psychotic break. And then on the other side is awakening. So they literally do actually put that into the new DSM because there's so many people awakening. And what's the difference? The difference is that with the psychotic break, nothing really makes sense, and sometimes it's harmful. The voices are saying things that are harmful, versus an awakening, the things are saying things that are wise and compassionate, make sense, and are helpful to one's ability to be a human being and to be in their heart space, to be aligned, to be loving, and to be able to alchemize pain spaces. So it's a big difference, and I just think that itself is magical, and it speaks to the time period that we're in. And yeah, I know, people in the past, especially women in the past, and I'm not even talking that long ago, like 100 years ago, could have been lobotomized, or put into psych wards for even being able to read, for reading, especially books and things like that they didn't want them reading. And so it's it's, again, those are those fear programs of the past that were collapsing. Those are the things that were in the collective consciousness that said it wasn't safe to do those things. And as a female in that time period, it really wasn't safe to do those things. But a female in this time period, we don't go forward unless we do those things. And so we're learning to believe in ourselves. And so the cat's jumping. So if you're hearing sounds, it's the cat. It's Magoo. So we're learning to take our power back. We're learning to believe in ourselves. We're learning to not need the external to believe us or to tell us what's appropriate for us and ways of existing, so that we can begin to fully and completely drop into our truth and exist from our truth. And so I just also want to clear, cleanse, neutralize, harmonize, and alchemize those old wound spaces, those old ways of existing, those mindsets of the slavery matrix and of the toxic masculine, and those fear programs that were preventing us from accessing our truth and our power and our light, because your essence comes from love. So the more you can access your own internal love, or you're mothering your own self into wholeness, and the more you can alchemize shadow spaces and create more light, the freer we get. That's where we access more creativity, more ability to focus, more ability to access infinite potentials. And that we clear, cleanse, heal, neutralize, harmonize, and alchemize all of that now through all quantum fields, and we're opening to receive for best and highest well-being. With love and gratitude, we choose this. So that's just a quick release that I'm tacking on to the other release, and now I'm just going to do the energetic clearing. So Source Godmother, I ask that you immediately evolute my systems for best and the highest well-being of the systems within me and the systems around me, including those frequencies of my feet. And then as you do that for me, you also do it for everything within my heart space, that you immediately evolute our systems and that you upgrade our frequencies of our feet, so that as we ground down to the insides of our feet, we're able to access the love, healing codes, essences, information, and peace, calm, presence, so that we can access our center points of reference, our center of selves, and our infinite potentials. So Source Godmother, please also root me from my root down to my universal star, 2 feet below my feet. Root me into this universe and into the multiverses, so that I'm sharing that life force frequency, healing codes, knowledge, wisdom, essences of the plant and animal beings, communications of all kinds, so that I'm feeling fully and completely at peace in my own body, grounded into my own body, and as if I'm being held in amongst all, which we always are. We're exactly where we're meant to be. We're literally held inside of a living being that's constantly moving, and exactly where you are is where you're meant to be, and you'll be naturally moved to where you're meant to move to when you trust the process and you allow yourself to go with your natural flow, which is at the core of your being. So when we slow down into what I call the nucleus, or our center of selves, that's where we'll always be guided where we need to go and when we need to go. So we clear, cleanse, and heal all of that now through all quantum fields, and we're opening to receive for best and the highest well-being. With love and gratitude, we choose this. So I choose this and breathe. And just pay attention if you're feeling lightheaded. Boy, come here, boy, come. You're not done yet. Come here. So I'm just going to grab him. So we're just going to want to pay attention to how we're feeling right now in this moment. And if you're feeling lightheaded, you're just going to ask the Godsource to ground you to your feet. Please ground me to my feet. And please trigger my vagus nerve now. Whee, that feels so good. I love that. And we're just going to... I'm going to close because boy's done and he wants to go out of my room now. So after he gets all his pets and his purrs. I hope you enjoyed that video. and leave some comments below if you have anything to add or any wisdom to add, or what did you think about this video. If you know anybody that could use this video, please feel free to send it to them. Please like and share, and ring that bell so that more people can get this information in this time period, and that we can collectively work together to free ourselves. So I hope you have a beautiful day, night, evening, whatever you're in, morning. And I'm going to love you and leave you. I hope you all find the peace that you're looking for. And lots of love from both of us. Until next time, have a great day.